This presentation is about American author Thomas Paine, who lived from 1737 to 1809, and his works Common Sense and The American Crisis. Who is Thomas Paine? Thomas Paine was born the son of a Quaker farmer and corset maker in Thetford, England. After finishing grammar school, he worked briefly for his father and then worked unsuccessfully in many jobs, including as a sailor, schoolteacher, and tax collector. By the time he was 37, he was labeled a troublemaker and was fired from his tax collector position and declared bankruptcy. In London, he met Benjamin Franklin, who was so impressed with Paine that he wrote him a letter of introduction, calling Paine an ingenious and worthy young man, which Paine took with him in 1774 to Philadelphia and used it to get a position as a writer for the Pennsylvania magazine. This was a revolutionary time as the colonies were becoming increasingly displeased and resentful of England's treatment of them. Although Thomas Paine was successful in arousing the masses against the government in both America and French revolutions due to his simple arguments, the passion of his writing and the timing of his appeal for revolution after both revolutions were over, he was scorned and rejected for his views towards religion, and he died in poverty and disillusionment with his belief in the natural goodness of man. When he died in 1809, his request for burial in a Quaker cemetery was refused, and he was buried on his farm in New Rochelle, New York. 10 years later, his remains were exhumed and taken to England and were lost and remain lost to this day. American Crisis. These 16 pamphlets were originally published in the Pennsylvania Journal from 1776 to 1783 during the American Revolution. Paine was paid $800 by Congress to publish these pamphlets to inspire the colonists to support the revolution against England during the Revolutionary War. They argued for revolution and independence and against any attempt to reconcile with England. George Washington had American Crisis I read aloud to his soldiers before they crossed the Delaware River in their famous defeat of the Hessians at Trenton. The following are famous lines from Crisis I. These are the times that try men's souls, and therefore they should not allow the summer soldier and the sunshine patriot to give up when the fight for independence gets difficult.